Hey, what's up guys, so it's Best here. This is my full review of the new iPhone 5S. Now the iPhone 5S is already one of the most popular phones of 2013 so far, selling millions on day one. But is this phone worth your money? Is it a good upgrade from the 5 or below? And how does it stack up to the rest of the market with some super phones coming from Android? And I'm going to take a look at all those things in this full review, but first I'm going to take a look at the hardware. Now the iPhone 5S comes in 3 different colors. It comes in the elusive gold and also space gray. That's what you see on the right. Then also there is the white silver combination that we saw in the iPhone 5. And that basically is really the only change to really kind of determine which one is which between the iPhone 5 and the iPhone 5S. They both have the same characteristics. All the buttons and ports are in the same exact locations. And this phone still has that nice cool aluminum touch and feel in your hand, which really isn't a bad thing. So this really nice design is here with us for one more year, and I don't see that as a negative at all. And now just taking a look at the internal specs of this 5S, you will find the new dual-core A7 processor. And also you'll find the new M7 motion co-processor, which is something new for the iPhone, which basically is going to be useful for fitness applications or map applications to help track whether you're running, walking, or driving. And also you'll find 1 GB of RAM, and it comes in 16, 32, and 64 GB storage configurations, Bluetooth 4.0, and you'll find LTE. Now you may notice that the iPhone 5S does have a dual-core processor when most of these smartphones that are coming on the market right now are shipping with quad-core processors, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I can see from some of these benchmarking tests that the iPhone 5S still keeps up with most of the phones on the market right now and actually beats a lot of them in some of these tests as well. And these first 2 tests were just some JavaScript tests, but these next ones are going to be a test between the iPhone 5 on your right and the iPhone 5S on the left. Just doing a Geekbench test, you can see that the 5S basically doubles the performance from the iPhone 5. And then also did a comparison in the same test against the LG G2 and also the HTC One, and you can see that the iPhone 5S beat those phones in that particular test. But when it comes to 3D Mark, it's basically going to be testing the gaming capabilities or graphics capabilities. You can see that the LG G2 did beat out the iPhone 5S in this particular test. Now, what do all these tests mean? Well, these tests mean that the iPhone 5S may look like the iPhone 5, but it doesn't always perform like it. Now, I would say that you definitely have a lot of power with the 5S, especially with the processor being 64-bit, but really I'm not going to be able to see that performance bump or boost probably for the next few months until third-party developers start making their applications compatible with that processor. But when it comes to real-world usage and just everyday tasks that you're going to be doing within iOS 7, I really don't see any noticeable difference right now. Now, this new processor does help with the battery life some, and I'm actually able to get through a full day of usage just like I normally would use a phone, taking videos, taking pictures, playing games. I'm actually able to make it to about 8:30 or 9 o'clock at night before I need to put that thing back on the charger with around 10% left on my battery life. Now we see how this is in the long run, but for right now the iPhone 5S battery is slightly better than the iPhone 5. But now I'm going to keep this review moving by taking a look at one of the brand new features in the iPhone 5S. This is the new Touch ID fingerprint sensor, and this is built right into the home button. And you set it up in your software, just in your settings. It's very easy. You just have to keep lifting your finger up and down while it reads and learns your fingerprint, and now you're set to go. Now you can use this fingerprint to now unlock your phone without using a passcode, and also so you can use it to buy things in the iTunes store or the App Store, and also for in-app purchases within apps like Infinity Blade. I just spent like $20 without even thinking about it, just because I just needed to use my fingerprint. And this does work well. You can see it works from all different types of angles, and this is one of those features that is very, very useful on the iPhone 5S. Maybe not a huge seller for a lot of people, but once you start using it, you will see that you may have a hard time going without it. And let's take a look at the cameras on this 5S. Now the front facing camera is a 1.2 megapixel shooter that can record 720p HD video, and then the rear facing camera is only 8 megapixels, but the pixels are bigger, something similar to the HTC Ultra Pixel, so the pictures should be a lot better. And also can get you down to an f2.2 aperture, and it has auto image stabilization. You have live video zoom. Then you have the new burst mode, which is going to let you capture up to 10 photos per second. This is definitely taking use of that A7 processor. And then also you have the new True Tone flash, which is basically a white and amber LED working together to make sure it gets your color temperature and intensity of the flash just right in your picture so you're not too blown out. And now here are some examples I was able to take with the rear facing camera on the iPhone 5S, and all of these are untouched, not edited at all, straight raw from the camera. And also I'm about to show you some video clips, and I'm going to throw in some slow motion clips that you can do now with the 5S. It's going to be shooting at 60 frames per second but slows it down to 30 frames per second. But I'm just going to shut up right now and go ahead and let you take a look at some of these examples. And now iOS 7, which is probably the major change coming to iOS devices, not just the iPhone 5S recently, but the iPhone 5S is running iOS 7, which is definitely a whole new take at iOS that Johnny Ive is trying to bring to this platform. And you can see that a lot of the icons are definitely changed and went for a flatter look. And this is also noticeable with all the different buttons and sliders throughout iOS. All of them have been changed for a cleaner look. And overall, I would say that it does take a couple weeks to get used to. The color scheme is very bright and vibrant. Some people say it looks cartoony, but after a couple weeks of using it, I found myself to be very comfortable with it. And this is definitely at least a welcome change. They had to do something to change the way it looks. And you can also see this change throughout all of the stock applications for the most part. Here's just the messages application, and you can now see the photo of the person that you're typing to. And the rest of the bunch of the applications, from calendar to the weather app to the compass application to even the clock application, all these things have been redone. They haven't really added new features to them. It's really just mostly changed the way they look. And I would like to see Apple kind of go a little bit further there and add a lot more features that we find from third-party applications into some of their stock apps. Now, two of the more useful new features in iOS 7 come in the form of Control Center and also the revamped Notification Center. Now, the Control Center basically makes all of your most used settings and toggles just one swipe away, and you swipe up from the bottom of the screen, and now you find options to activate the flashlight and go into your calculator or go into the camera or start a timer. All those are little icons at the bottom. And also you find toggles for airplane mode, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, do not disturb, and also orientation lock. And then you'll find the brightness controls and also playback controls for music. And then you find the new AirDrop feature, which basically allows you to send files like photos or videos to people that show up in your AirDrop list. So they don't necessarily have to be in your contacts, but if they are near you, you can actually send information to them, and it does work very well. And then the notification panel is now broken into three different sections. You have your today section, which shows you the temperature and things that may be on your calendar or on your reminders list. And you also see your stocks there at the bottom. And then you have the all section, which shows you all of your notifications. And you'll find one new feature in iOS 7. This is going to be iTunes Radio, which is a Pandora-like radio station creation tool that you can use to create playlists from your favorite artists or similar artists to them. And it's just like Pandora for the most part. Now, there are a bunch of little changes and tweaks within iOS 7. I just can't cover everything in this video, but I would say that things like multitasking have gotten better, and Johnny Ive, who's in charge of iOS, and he was tasked with the challenge to make iOS feel different but also function the same for the most part and not be too unfamiliar for people. And I think he did a decent job at this, especially just having under a year of full control of iOS. Now, with that being said, this still just feels like the beginning of the transformation of iOS. Now, with that being said, I'm going to wrap up my review of this iPhone 5S. Now, I'm going to jump right into it. Who is this phone for? If you have an iPhone 4S or below and you upgrade to the iPhone 5S, you won't be disappointed at all. You'll have a bigger screen, definitely a better camera. You also have faster performing hardware, and you have the new fingerprint sensor, which I do think is useful on day-to-day uses. If you're coming from the iPhone 5 or another mobile platform itself, I don't know whether this iPhone 5S has enough to either make you change or upgrade. And so as Apple's next generation phone, I think the iPhone 5S is right there in line with some of the other upgrades to other phones that have come out this year. So I think it's a good step forward, not a giant leap forward when it comes to the cell phone game, but definitely a good step forward, and it's an overall solid performing phone that I think if anybody was to use this phone, you'll find some good use out of it. And so the pricing schemes for the iPhone 5S are basically the same as everything else. $199 for the 16 gigabyte, 32 gigabytes is going to run you $299, and also 64 gigabytes is going to run you $399. It comes on the major carriers here in the US: AT&T, Sprint, T-Mobile, and Verizon. And this has been my review of the iPhone 5S. What I want you to do is leave your comment down below what you think about this phone. Do you hate it? Do you love it? What do you want to see Apple do with it next? Let me know down below in the comments. And thanks for watching this video, guys, and I will catch you later. Peace.